Welcome students and of course, welcome to all the viewers that are interested in design. This is another tutorial at our channel, What About Design? I am your host, Maria Cernat, and with me, as usual, Frank Myung. Thanks for being here with us.
Hi, I'm always glad to be with you.
How do we make writing very interesting in Photoshop? Because we have this option. So let us see what it does and how it works.
Something that is written on your image should be readable. I mean, you should be able to read it. And this is very important because, usually people, when they see some kind of advertisement or something with a message addressed to them, they want to read it, right? And if something is not readable or, the viewer is not able to read it, what is the purpose of the general purpose of that? Useless. But okay, there are a couple of ways of making that work. So in Photoshop, it is very difficult, but okay, let's try that. First, you can make some background only for the font, and this I don't know. This may be some kind of shape that it could took. Okay, let me use a simple selection. Let's make the things as simple as they can be. So you can put some, rectangle beneath it or some kind of element. Actually, I will show you something that I like very much, and which looks beautiful sometimes. I'm using a rectangle for each of the lines. They should be aligned from the right side, but it's not necessary to be aligned. So I would do something like that. I will create, with the selection tool, right? I went to the selection tool. I'm making here a selection. Then I will add to this selection with the holding shift because I don't want to make another, a new rectangle with the selection tool. And then I will add another one also with the shift that will give me, if you see that plus that is in the cross, you see it, Maria?
Yes. And
So
I showed them that they should go to add to selection. And then if you hold the key, you can make different selections. So you don't have to do it all over again.
Yeah. And then we have to create a new layer and to put that layer beneath the text layer, which is here, right? Let me make this more visible. Okay, now you see we have three layers. The background, the layer that I want to use for the background, for the rectangles beneath the text in the text layer. And now we can, of course, using the combination of keys I was talking about in the previous practical lessons, command and background, and that will give us the black color, which is actually the background color here, if you see. If I can switch with the X, I'm repeating that. I'm switching it only typing the X key, and you see the background and the foreground swapped. So if I do the same operation like command and backspace, it will go white. So
and for those who don't have your Mac, for those who have Windows, is Control and backspace.
Yeah, Control and backspace. But there is something that I didn't make quite right. You see, here there is this tooth, we say, this angle. So I want to get rid of it. I'm just doing that in simple selection. I'm just clicking backspace, and it's perfectly aligned. I can show you that. You see, I switched off the background layer, so I can see now only the things that are presented in other layers, right? Okay, so. But I don't like very much the overall format of this image because for me, it should look better if it's a bit more, you know, concentrated on the actual tower of this
Building.
building because it's looked nicer, and the lamp and the balconies could be only, they will change actually the focal point. They will change actually the whole overall perspective. And I am leaving a little space, you see, beneath the image, that so I can type on it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not perfect, but it gives you some kind of perspective, because now the first thing you see is this building, right? This old tower, which is very detailed, very beautiful, and this is something that you want to show, right? So I can concentrate your attention even further on that building by simply using blur group. So I go to filters and I have this blur, and there is a whole group of blur filters. Even there is this blur gallery. But actually, blur gallery is a new kind of filters. But let me first show you the basic
Mm-hmm.
blur filters.
Exactly.
The yeah, the basic, the simplest one is the blur. Mind where you are and which layer. Because, for
Mhm.
example, if something is not working, just check the layers where you are actually and what is selected. Because everything that is working in Photoshop works on selection. And there is this Gaussian blur or Gaussian blur. It depends on the pronunciation, which is actually something that could be controlled. So the radius of your blurriness of the images that are, like washed, you can control. And actually, as blurred is it, the image, the more readable the text is, right? Or something
Of
that is
course.
that you will have to get rid of the timeline. Okay, so now I'm doubling this background layer, and I'm making here, creating here a Gaussian blur. Let it be like factor of 19 pixels. It could be even more, like this. And then
Okay.
I'm entering OK. And then I'm making some kind of selection. It could be as any selection you like. Let it be a circular selection, right? Okay, because I want this area not to be blurred, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going here to select, and I'm modifying my selection by, with the feather I showed you last time, right? So, but the factor of this feather should be big, like 60 pixels or like 100 pixels. Okay.
You
Oops.
type six. Oh, okay.
Now, and now I can of course make a mask, because masks are very useful because they don't affect the actual pixels of your image. This is not what I wanted, because
It
invert
inverse.
the image exactly. Yeah, yeah. But it looks not too good. I think it's too much. I mean, the selection is not deep enough. It was not feathered enough. So I can go back by just typing Control Z or Command Z. Okay, and I have to make this selection bigger. I mean the feather bigger. Let's try 250 pixels. And let's try this. Okay, I like this more. How do you like it?
Yes. Yes. This is better. This is better.
And now your eye is actually concentrated on the building. You don't mind now the surroundings. You are,
Yes, you have basically 2 points that you follow here, the building and the writing. And this is very good
mm,
because the image does not obscure the message.
yeah. Actually, you can do the same thing with this new filters, which are the blur gallery, but they're for me it's harder to control them. It depends how the person, the designer, is accustomed to work. And of course they work with better computers. but this is the fastest. This is the old way, and actually, it's faster than the new way. So I'm going back to this Bucharest bank that we used before, and let me show you how to type the same thing differently. Okay, let's enter this. I use the combination Command Shift C or Control Shift C. That is automatically centering my text. Let's make it a bit bigger, something like that. And let's put it here in the very center of the image. But it will not be good, not aesthetic, because we will cover the beautiful clock which is behind this. Okay, the first thing that we can do is to go to effects. Can you see it? It's here on the list. We can click on that and we have full, options. I mean, full of options here. We will have blending options and we will have something like this. Can you see that, Maria?
Yes.
And here, when we go to, we will have something that is, close to 3D, but it's not actually 3D. Okay. And we have also depth. Can you see that?
Yes. Oh, it looks so nice.
Yeah, and it also gives us, this is some kind of substitution for 3D. This was one of the older tools. It works fast and it's very, you can rely on because you will get always the needed effect and gives makes your letters, your typography to look more alive, right? And you can actually even involve textures in it. You see, you can make textures, different type of textures. So this your letters uh, will not be smooth, but you can add textures to them, right? So okay, let's go back here. And actually, you can also change the source of your light. You see, you can go down, you can go up, you can make, which is my favorite, uh, pillow emboss, which is very, looks very nice actually on images. And
Mm.
the fun, I mean, the fun thing is that you can always change it. You can always control it. Okay, let me do this. You see?
Mm-hmm.
And this adds visibility to your text. I mean, like even if you do this on sharp image, on normal image, it will look somehow readable because this is something that you add to the text. But there is something else I want to show you. You can actually give background, I mean, shadow to the text very easily. You can, of course, check all of that options. What can they do? But this is one of the useful one, which is back drop shadow. So what this one do? It shadows your text so it gets even more readable, and you can control any options. See, this is the distance between the text and the shadow. You can, of course, change the angle of your shadow depending on which side you want to have your shadow next to the text. And then you have something that is called spread and size. So the size, you see, it's getting more blurred or less blurred. I personally sometimes use this zero distance. That means that the shadow that is cast on the text is equal on each side of the actual letter. And this gives you also additional visibility of the text, additional readability of the text. So this is something that in troublesome images, you see. You can read actually what is written there. You can use combinations, you can play with that. You can use different combinations. Personally, me, I like very much this bevel and emboss because it gives you an actual, false 3D, an actual perspective. It works very fast. You don't need the whole 3D bumbo jumbo that is used, as a different block, different segment in your Photoshop. Of course, you can use it, but it's time consuming. And you can actually have very similar effects to this. And
Mhm.
it will be really sad to put something like that on the actual clock, because the clock is more beautiful than the actual entrance, right? But it depends, what do you like? I mean, the freedom of the artist is the most important thing, and the message, I think, also is the most important thing. What actually would you like to rely with this image? You can actually, sacrifice everything in order to receive in order to create the effect, to rely the message and, other artistic stuff.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.